Alright boys, so we're back here on some more Balloon Tower Defense Battles 2. And so what we're going to be doing in this video here today is I'm just going to be showing some of you guys what's the best strategies, or I guess maybe even like the easiest strategies, I suppose you could say, for some of the newer players and some of the lower arenas here on Battles 2. So first one that we're going to end up going with here, I do have Gwendolyn as my hero, and then we're also going to be using the Tack shooter here, which I need to get down and get upgraded. We are going to leak some lives, but that is perfectly fine. Now, real quick, I am on an alternate account here. So I am in the Ceramic Crucible, I think is the arena. I can double check after this game. Yeah, we might run into some opponents who aren't going to be like the greatest in the entire world, but that is okay. Again, I'm just going to kind of go through what some of the, easiest strategies are to use for newer players. So my opponent looks like he's gonna be rocking with Quincy. He's got 2 wizards down and a sniper as well. To be honest, I don't think he's going to survive sending these yellows here. So okay, unfortunately this is a little bit of a harder map, so it looks like my opponent is probably just going to get the loss here really quick. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna send some space whites here, and to be honest, I think this is probably going to kill him. So what he's doing is he's removing obstacles for some reason, which he needs to just be upgrading his defense. So nonetheless, I definitely think he's dead here, unfortunately. This is a really hard map though, so if you have not played on this map before, it can be very tricky. I don't know how many lives he's gonna leak there before it ends. Okay, all right boys, so here we are at game number 2, and we're going up against the exact same opponent here. So I did end up making a switch. I swapped out Gwendolyn for Quincy. Even though you can technically unlock Gwendolyn as soon as you start the game, because all you have to do is just go through the tutorial. I'm not sure if, every single person is going to have Gwendolyn unlocked, but we are going to do the same exact strategy. So I'm actually going to start with my Tack shooter right here. Now, this isn't the best, Tack map in the entire world. However, we should be able to still make this work. So I'm going to constantly be sending my opponent grouped reds here for the first, 2 or 3 rounds. Maybe we won't actually, try to all-out kill him here in this game, even though I wasn't necessarily trying to kill him in the last game either. Maybe we just won't put as much pressure on my opponent. So we're just gonna keep sending the reds here. I'm gonna try to upgrade this Tack shooter eventually to get that middle path blade shooter. So the blade shooter is always going to be the best option when using the Tack shooter in the early game. Really only in the early game. Once you get to the later game rounds, Tack shooter or the blade shooter really doesn't do too much. So he's gonna send me yellow balloons here. So as soon as I can now, I'm going to go ahead and upgrade to that blade shooter. Now, I'm going to be pretty much chilling with this right here all the way up to round 10, round 9 or round 10. So there's really not much else I'm going to have to do. So what I'm going to focus on is getting my farms down. I'm going to try to farm here. Even if you're not farming, though, that's perfectly fine. You can just continuously eco. Now, again, one thing I'm going to say really quick. Don't know if you guys are going to fully remember this or not. If you ever want to put pressure on your opponents, you want to send these spaced balloons, okay? If you are ever trying to build your eco, so the green number up top there, you want to send the grouped balloons, okay? So the grouped balloons are not going to put quite as much pressure on your opponent in the early game, just because it's always the slower balloons, and they're packed together. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. But again, even my opponent sending me these pink balloons here, they're not going to get past this Tack shooter really. And you do have to make sure your Tack shooter is in a decent spot. It probably would have been better for me to put this Tack shooter where his, on the island where his wizard is, not in that exact spot where his wizard is, maybe more right here on the inside. However, I was planning to sell that island anyway, so I did not want to get a Tack shooter down there. So, okay, so once you get up to about round 11 or so, this is where some of the faster balloons start to become grouped balloons. So as you can see, the grouped yellows here, these can't necessarily force too many upgrades. You might be able to, depending on what their tower usage is. I can send a couple grouped yellows here just to see how far they push. And then I'll kind of chill out right there. So again, I don't want to necessarily kill him. So yeah, Tack shooter's down here. What I want to go for next, though, is going to be my wizard. So with the wizard, I'm going to put my wizard right here. So the reason that I like the wizard a lot, especially for newer players, is it's really easy to use. So if you end up going for this bottom path here, so you go for the shimmer upgrade on the wizard, that is going to decamo all of the balloons. And then if you go for this necromancer here, it is going to send these ghost balloons or graveyard balloons, I think is what they're called, behind it. And these can be really, really strong for some of the early game. And again, this is pretty much going to defend almost anything that an opponent is going to send you in the early arenas. Now, it might not necessarily defend like an all-out like regen rainbow rush or something, but you're really not gonna cross that bridge too much in the early arenas. So again, hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. I'm gonna send Space Rainbows here. It looks like he should be okay. We did get him to tower boost again. So as you can see, like on my side, I have one wizard, one tack shooter down, right? My opponent has 2 wizards, a helicopter, and a sniper down. So you don't really want to be going for like more defense in terms of like the amount of defense that you have down on the map. You want to focus more on just upgrading. Like if you would just upgrade this wizard up front to a necromancer here, he would probably be perfectly fine against anything. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna set this wall of fire here. Now I do want to, I'm not farming in any way. This is not a farm video, by the way, so do not pay attention to my farm game at all. And then eventually what you're gonna want to do with this tack shooter is save up a decent amount of money. So let me go for these valuable bananas here real quick. Perfect, we'll just do that. You're gonna want to replace this tack shooter, so you can delete it, and you're gonna want to replace it with a 2-0-4. So you're gonna want to go for this overdrive here because this is gonna do really, really good Moab damage and just overall damage in general. And then when you get to ecoing in the middle game rounds, you always want to be sending spaced black balloons. But again, like you have to, there's like a fine line between, you know, ecoing and or farming if you are gonna farm. And then just simply making sure that you have, you know, enough defense down on the map. Because if I were to eco too much and my opponent sends me a Moab here on round 17, then I'm not going to have enough money for good enough defense to stop that Moab. But right now, I know for a fact we're going to be perfectly fine if my opponent sends us a Moab here. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep ecoing with these black balloons as much as I possibly can here. He looks like he's like barely defending. That Dragon's Breath on his side should do a decent enough job. And then obviously too, at any point, if you want to get aggressive on your opponent in any way, you can always send them just a fortified Moab. This is usually a pretty decent send on round 18 just because it's pretty hard to defend for like early game defense, and it's going to force some upgrades on their side. He might tower boost it. I don't know if he's going to be dead on this or not. His Dragon's Breath should be okay. You do not want to go for a sniper. Is he going to tower boost this? I think he might have to. Okay, he's good. He's good. So we forced another sniper down on his side, and we forced his last tower boost. So that's always, again, that's always a good sign. So here we come up against the first AI Moab on round 20. And again, as you can see, this tack shooter here is just going to absolutely shred this thing. So no worries there. No worries there. And then remember, too, keep in mind, this isn't even, like, the best tack shooter spots in the entire world. Like, this map is not very good for the tack shooter. Uh-oh. I'm going to go for a Dragon's Breath here a little bit towards the back because this round is getting a little pushy. Maybe I should go for one more tack shooter here is what I should do. So let me delete this. We'll go for the same thing. We got 2 overdrives here. So again, we should be chilling here. We should be chilling here. Now, I'm wondering if my opponent is going to send me, like, a ZOMG or something at some points, because that is very possible. These balloons are starting to push a little bit on this side, so I'm going to try to just maybe get a few more tack shooters down around here. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure what this is going to defend because, like I've said a handful of times now, this is not a very good tack shooter map by any means, so I'm just kind of preparing my defense here the best that I can. Should also probably stop ecoing here. I'll stop at like 2,300, give or take. Okay, so perfect. We'll go for one more overdrive, and then we're just going to kind of chill out from here. What I really should be doing is focusing on my farm game, but again, this is not a farming video, so do not pay attention to my farm game. I beg. I get made fun of all the time for how bad my farming is, but I have not been focusing on the farms this game. Okay, we're just trying to get through the early game, showing you guys some really easy strategies here with the wizard and the tack, which again, in my opinion, is probably the easiest strategy to use in the early game rounds. And even when you get up into like, BFB Coliseum or ZOMG, I mean, really, even like Hall of Masters, like a lot of people still use the tack shooter in Hall of Masters. So we might have some issues against these lead balloons. So let me, where do I want this? Maybe we'll do one more wizard here. We'll go for another Dragon's Breath with this. Now, I am probably going to run into an issue with DDTs here. So round 26, what you're going to want to go for with DDTs is the easy option is to go for the Prince of Darkness here with the wizard. So this tier 5. If my opponent stops, okay, he did stop ecoing, so I'm going to go ahead and send this. He's going to send me rainbows. I don't think you ever want to eco with rainbow balloons. I don't think that's ever the play. So I'm not sure what that is. But yeah, if you end up going for the Prince of Darkness here, that will stop DDTs on round 26. You might run into some issues, though, a little bit later on like round 28 with fortified DDTs. Oh, I don't even have tier 5 farms on this account, so whatever. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. So yeah, again, I don't know why he's ecoing me with rainbow balloons here right now, because he's probably just doing nothing more than draining his actual money. Like, his eco is probably pretty decent, but once round 30 hits, my opponent is going to have no money whatsoever to defend a BAD or get any defense down or anything. So typically like around 27, 28-ish is when you want to stop your eco completely. If you're farming, you usually might want to stop it a little bit earlier. But yeah, my opponent's continuing to eco with rainbow balloons here. We're currently on round 29. He stands absolutely no chance against a BAD here. So we're just going to kind of wait this out through round 29, and we'll send him a BAD as soon as we can. Should we fortified or should we unfortified it? I'll send him an unfortified one first, because we can kill him to like all out DDTs right now too, so I'm not too worried. I guess maybe one thing I could go for, another really good like DDT defense, is going to be the Archmage on the wizard. I'll try this spot, so I'm gonna go ahead get the Archmage here. We'll send the unfortified BAD now. So before you send your BAD, you want to make sure that you have good enough like a DDT defense. Okay, so my opponent's gonna send me Moabs here for some reason. That's not gonna do anything. But if you were to all out me with DDTs right now, I'm pretty confident that the Archmage would be able to take them all out. Plus having the Prince of Darkness, I think we would be okay. Wait, what did he die to AI? I actually didn't even see how he died. We'll go ahead and jump into another game here where I will show you another strategy. Alrighty, boys. So here we are, game number 2. And I'm not gonna lie, I just used this strategy on the last game, and I was talking too much and not paying enough attention. I ended up losing on round 11, but we're not gonna do that this time. So the strategy that we're using here, we are gonna be using Gwendolyn, the Druid, the Ice Tower, and the Submarine. Now, what you're going to do with this strategy, let me explain this first. You're going to want to get your Druid down first, okay? We're going to be ecoing this strategy as well. So that is the reason why I have the Ice and not the Farm. 9 times out of 10, this strategy is going to be with Oben, actually. Not Gwendolyn. I just don't have Oben unlocked on this account. And then you're also going to be replacing the Ice with a Farm. But beyond that, we're going to make this work either way. So for one, what I want to do is get my Druid down first, and if you guys did not notice, I upgraded pretty much immediately to the Heart of Vengeance, okay? You want to upgrade to that Heart of Vengeance right away on your Druid, because you want to get the increased attack speed. Now, in order to get the full increased attack speed, you have to leak down to 70 lives. All right, so I'm currently at 95 lives here. I want to leak down a few more, so what you can do is kind of target this to last for like 1 second, and then go back to first. So now you can leak just a few more lives here. We're down to 92. Let's do it maybe, or 82 now. Maybe one more time. Starting to get a little close here, so I guess I'm going to go right in for this Heart of Thunder. So I might leak down a little bit more than 70, which again is fine. Once you like start using the Druid, I promise you are going to run into games where you accidentally basically kill yourself. But that's okay, right? It just takes practice. So again, I have my Druid down. You have to, I cannot repeat this enough. You have to upgrade to the Heart of Vengeance and then leak lives, okay? So from here, I know this is really, really late just because I was talking, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my Gwendolyn down now. And then when it comes to ecoing, I know I wasn't explaining this too much in the beginning. I was trying to explain the Druid. But with ecoing, essentially, you want to be sending the spaced balloon, or I'm sorry, you want to be sending the grouped balloons as much as possible in the early game rounds, okay? So I'll explain a little bit more once we get to like round 7 and 8. But as you can see, the red balloons, how there's 2 of them, that is grouped. Yellows, that is grouped. Greens, that is grouped. But nonetheless, like if you pay attention to the ecoing or not, I just want to mainly explain how the Druid works for this game here, just because I see so many newer players struggle with the Druid and they can't like, they don't understand the attack speed with the Druid. So if I do like a quick comparison here, if I put a second Druid down right here, actually I'll just put it right next to him. Look at the difference in their attack speed with this. That is because this first Druid here has the Heart of Vengeance and I leaked my lives. This Druid here, this is how fast your Druid would be attacking without leaking lives and without getting the Heart of Vengeance. So again, hopefully that's understandable. Now from here, what I'm going to do is kind of slow up on my eco a little bit because I'm going to need camo detection and I'm going to need defense for round 11. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my sub down here. Okay, so we're going to do that. Perfect. And I'm going to end up going for the top path on my sub. Right, so longer range, advanced intel. We'll go for the submergence support right now, but I also want to save up for that plutonium reactor here. So I need one more income boost and we'll have this perfectly fine. So plutonium reactor, bam, there we go. And then depending on the map, if you guys want to as well, you can also go for the twin guns and then the airburst darts as well. So the twin guns is going to make it detect camo balloons faster, and then the airburst darts are basically just going to increase its popping power once you get the reactor. So again, like hopefully you guys kind of understand that. And then from here on round 12, I'm always going to be sending our spaced rainbow balloons because you make the most amount of eco with this balloon here. We did get a tower boost out of my opponent there too, which is kind of nice. All right, and then from here, pretty much the whole entire time, I'm just going to be sending grouped black balloons, okay? Grouped black balloons are going to be the most efficient balloon to send in these, like, middle teen rounds, and our defense is good enough now to defend pretty much everything and anything. Technically, if my opponent were to all out me right now with like regen rainbows, I would die. So I guess I can show you how to defend that too. If you think your opponent's gonna get aggressive and send you like regrow rainbows on round 13, 14, or 15, you can upgrade your Druid again to the Druid of Wrath. It's gonna make it attack even faster. And then what you can do to be even more safe is get a second sub down here. And you're going to want to go for the middle path to the ballistic missile here, right? So this right here is going to defend quite literally any balloon rush that your opponent sends you, right? So you're chilling now. You will have to worry about Moabs a little bit. However, I'm pretty sure that this right here, this defense can stop just a regular Moab. I guess we'll find out here in a second if my opponent does end up sending me one. But yeah, we have our camo detection with our sub. We have our Druid here, which we're going to upgrade in the later game rounds. Okay, and then we also have our ballistic missile here just for like extra just in case defense, right? We're in a really good spot now. And then again, like I said as well in the early game, if you're comfortable farming as a newer player, substitute this ice monkey here for a farm, okay? Because the ice monkey really serves no purpose in this strategy, if I'm being completely honest with you. I just wanted to show you guys more of an eco strategy than a farm strategy, I guess. And then again, I really, really wanted to explain the Druid because I cannot tell you guys how many people don't know how the Druid works. And you can include myself in that category as well, because when I first started playing the game, I had no clue. So hopefully that does help. But here we are currently on round 18. Sometimes what I like to do to my opponent on round 18 is I'll actually send just one single fortified Moab, just because it's a decent send. It's like a strong balloon, but it's not extremely strong, and it's probably going to force a little bit of defense on their side. The more defense that you can force to your opponents, the better position it's going to put you in, because it's just making them spend, you know, more money essentially. So he defended that relatively okay. Actually, we got a Dark Knight out of him. So since he got that Dark Knight, he just spent really like unnecessary money. He didn't actually need to go for the Dark Knight, but it's going to put me in a much better position. He also stopped ecoing, which means he's setting himself up for like a not so optimal later game round, I guess, if that makes sense. And he tower boosted, okay? So perfectly fine by me. So here's our Moab. Let's see if this can defend the Moab. Pretty sure it can. Maybe we'll have to use Gwendolyn's level 3 here just in case. But we should be okay there for the most part. So now that we're on like round 20, 21, once this green number here, your eco gets to like 1700, you can switch from the black balloons into the pink balloons. And then from here, we're pretty much just going to chill out. Again, our defense is more than capable of defending pretty much any rush that my opponent sends me. If he did send me a ZOMG, we would have to get some additional defense down, but it doesn't look like he has any interest in doing that right now. So I am perfectly fine with that. Looks like my opponent's third tower is going to be the sniper. So he has the tack shooter, the super monkey, and the sniper. Now he actually does not have the best like camo detection in the entire world. We probably could have killed our opponents in the early game rounds to camo balloons. We're gonna let him live. We'll let him get away with it for now. One thing you always want to make sure you have is like some sort of really cheap camo detection. So that's why the sub is a really good option, because technically, like, depending on what your other towers are, for the submarine, you only have to go for the third path. So if you go long range, advanced intel, and then submerge and supports, this right here is going to detect any camo balloon that comes within range of it, okay? Just getting the plutonium reactor is really just additional defense is all that is. So he's going to send me a bunch of purples here. I'm not sure how much these are going to push. Can always use Gwendolyn's level 10 here. He just wasted a lot of money sending those purples. I'm not sure why he's doing that. You don't ever want to eco with purple balloons, unless you're playing like Bonanza or something. All right, so from here, what I'm actually going to start to do is, let me do this. Let me do this. That mob kind of push. So I'm now running around 25. Typically, what you would end up going for here is a middle path Druid, just for your DDT defense. But since we have the ice, I'm going to use the ice tower here. We're just going to go for an Icicle Impale. So I'm going to get my ice down. I'm going to go for the bottom path. So we're going to go for Icicle Impale here. And then I'm also going to cross path it with the top path. Because if you do not cross path it with the top path, your ice is not going to be able to pop DDTs. Okay, so it's not going to be able to pop lead balloons unless you cross path it with that cold snap on the top path. So if my opponent does send me DDTs, which is a very common send in the lower arenas, we are going to be perfectly fine. And then from here, what I can also do is go for this Druid. I'm going to upgrade it to the Pop Lust here. Okay, so that's going to give it even more attack speed. And then if you take more Druids, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, I guess we can maybe put this fourth one like right over here. 4. I'm going to upgrade these as well to Pop Lusts, because having 5 Pop Lusts all within range of each other is just going to increase all of their attack speed even more. Okay, so now this Druid here, the very first one that we put down, has the increased attack speed from the life buff that we gave it. It also has the ×5 Pop Lust that we gave it. So it's essentially attacking as fast as possible. And again, if you compare, since we got the life buff on this Druid here, look at how much faster it's attacking than some of the other Druids. Like, it's ridiculous. Okay, so I actually ecoed a little bit too much here. We're on round 29. I probably should have stopped at like round 27, but I wasn't paying attention. So I'm just going to go to 5,000 eco here and then just call it. Now, if my opponent sends me a BAD, we should be able to defend at least 1. I'll get this Druid here upgraded to the Avatar of Wrath, because again, it's just going to increase the attack speed even more, which is always a good thing. And then maybe what we can do as well is go for, maybe what we'll do is go for an Embrittlement here. This isn't the best spot for the Embrittlement. I should have my Embrittlement switched with the Icicle Impale, but we'll get this down. Curious to see if my opponent does send me a BAD here or not. They would 100% be dead to a BAD. So let's go ahead. We're going to do this. We're going to upgrade this to the Super Brittle, actually. And then I'm going to go for the larger radius here, just because my placement isn't the best with this Super Brittle. So hopefully that should be okay. It's going to send us purples again. Yeah, anything beyond round 30, like, you do not ever want to be ecoing, just because you have to make sure that you have enough defense down in order to defend a BAD. So I guess maybe what I can do here as well, let me go for, where can I squeeze this? Let's delete this Druid. I'm going to put this one here. I'm going to go for the middle path on this. So we're going to go for the Spirit of the Forest here. I'm going to cross path this as well with the top path, just so it has the ability to pop lead balloons. And I'm going to put one more Druid down right here, just so we can get that ×5 Pop Lust on all of them. So here, perfect. We'll go for just the Pop Lust. Don't have to go for anything else. So my Spirit of the Forest is ×5. My the first Druid that we placed down is ×5. And then we're also going to go for the Avatar of Wrath. So one more income boost. We're here. Perfect. So now we're pretty much straight chilling against not necessarily any rush in the entire world, but if my opponent sends me a BAD here, we would absolutely shred at least 1. I'm not sure about multiple, but if he does send us multiple, we can always upgrade our sub and kind of go from there. So in the meantime, I guess we'll just kind of wait and chill, and I'm just going to see if my opponent sends me anything. If he does not, I'm just going to send him a BAD on like round 35. So we'll just wait and see what happens. All right, so round 35 is here. My opponent still hasn't sent me anything. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to send him an unfortified BAD here, just to see if he reacts anyway. And if he maybe sends us something, he'll probably be able to stop this. I mean, I'm not sure. He has a bottom path sniper. I'm not sure if that's a cripple Moab or if it's just a regular main Moab. He's got 2 super monkeys here. He's got, oh no, I'm sorry. He's got 3 super monkeys here. One of them's a Dark Knight. One of them's like the, I forget what this upgrade's called. It's like the Robo super monkey. He's got a 3rd Dark Knight or 2nd Dark Knight up top. He did not tower boost though. Is he going to tower boost now? He could tech terror this if he pops it. He might be dead to the DDTs inside. Maybe. Oh, no, he did tech terror. Okay. Well played. Well played. Is he going to fully defend? Fully defend. Does not look like... Oh, my gosh, he did. Okay, so he just tower boosted. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to send him another one. We'll send him one more BAD here. Fortified this time, though. We'll see how he does against this. So right now, he should be selling his sniper farms and going for more defense is absolutely what he should be doing. We'll send one more behind. We'll kind of space him out just a little bit. So yeah, the nice thing about spacing out the BADs like this, if you are ever going to send multiple BADs to your opponent, oh, he's going to counter us with DDTs, but we should be more than chilling. Again, we got the Icicle Impale. I guess we'll do this. Oh my gosh. Bro, dude, those push so hard. Holy crap. Yo, I was not expecting that. I'm not going to lie. Let me do... He sends us one more. Let me go for absolute 0. Yeah, so he's not gonna be able to pop the fortified one. But yeah, like I was saying, if you send space BADs like this, Most of their defense is going to be set to first, so they're going to be just basically shooting that first BAD like crazy. We'll set good game to him too. And not much of his defense is going to be shooting the second BAD. So even if he pops the first one down, the second one is still going to have a bunch of health. So again, hopefully some of that makes sense. Like I said, these were really just some easier strategies for some of the early game players. And then just to reiterate again, that second strategy with the Druid is not necessarily the easiest strategy in the entire world. I just see so many players use the Druid and they don't actually know how to use the Druid, okay? So hopefully that helps with that as well. And then lastly, I'll just say this one more time too. If you guys want to, if you're comfortable with farming, just get rid of the Ice Tower and just replace it with a farm, because that's what 99% of players do. So if this video helped you guys at all, please let me know in the comments down below. If you guys liked the video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you guys really liked it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And with that said, I will catch you guys in the next one. Thanks.